Welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Kumi. We're expanding the conversation and following up as broadly as possible on the threat by the United States President Donald Trump to carry out attacks in Nigeria in response to purported genocide against Christians in the country. Now, President Trump says he instructed the recently named Department of War to prepare for possible action in Nigeria and warns that the Nigerian government better move fast. Well, the United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said the Department of War is already preparing for action in Nigeria, and talks of a meeting being in the works between President Tinubu and the U.S. government are neither here nor there. But the president had issued a 6-paragraph response to the threat, where he stated that Nigerians stand firmly as a democracy governed by constitutional guarantees of religious liberty. The president goes on to say that since 2023, his administration has maintained an open and active engagement with Christian and Muslim leaders alike and continues to address security challenges which affect citizens across faiths and regions. And according to the president, the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. The statement goes further to say that our administration is committed to working with the United States government and the international community to deepen understanding and cooperation on protection of communities of all faiths. End of quote. Now, about a month ago, when the news of the U.S. Congress debating a bill to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern broke, the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria at the time had released a statement where he said that Nigerian Christian Association affirms without hesitation that many Christian communities in parts of Nigeria, especially in the north, have suffered severe attacks, loss of life, and the destruction of places of worship. Now, President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on media strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, has said that the president was well ahead of the orchestrated game unfolding in America, as he told the news service chiefs last week, Thursday, that night, what Nigerians expect of them. He said, no more excuses. Nigerians want results. It's worth noting, however, that the U.S. government had previously designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern in 2020, but that designation was removed in 2021. Now let's get into the conversation, and here's an earlier recording with the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Foreign Affairs, Honorable Oluwole.
This is purely my personal opinion. I think it's a stay-in-a-tea call, and I'm very sure that the issues will be resolved. Truly speaking, the American government, they truly have the facts of the matter that there is no any religious problem or wars in Nigeria. My understanding of all these issues that there are some other political, economic, domestic moves on the part of America to get at Nigeria. Truly speaking, you and I understand, we know the truth that the security issues in Nigeria, it's outside religious boundary. You know, crime is crime. We've had boundary attacks in the northwest, in the northeast, in the north central, so all over the place. So, and the government of the day, under President Bola Tinubu, is trying its best. Let me put this to you. Even President Trump, at some times this year, commended President Bola Tinubu for waging war against insecurity in the country. So, we're in the midst of so many happenings across the globe. You know, probably Nigeria's friendship with China, with BRICS, you know, it's also haunting America, and they want to find a way to get back to us. Elections, you know, mid-term elections are also coming up in the U.S. Perhaps President Trump is looking for things to make his party more relevant in the U.S. So there are a mix of issues. So, but my conclusion, my position states that it is a sanity call, and I can tell you that the government, the federal government, will deal with this issue.
Okay. All right, Honorable, what you've said has been stated in several online conversations as well. Some say that Nigeria has gas reserves, lithium. Some say that it's politically motivated. The U.S. has certain interests. No, those are narratives. But let me ask you a question. If you follow these narratives and what you've also just said, the position, your personal position, which you've stated, would you say that we should take this threat lightly?
We're still saying the same thing, that there are some underlying issues that, in opinion, the American government is pursuing. The American embassy in Nigeria, they're very, very clear that the narrative being put up there is untrue. That there's no religious, there's no anywhere in the country where Christians have been massacred or being waged war against. I'm a Christian myself, and I've told you at different times, the president is a Muslim but married to a pastor in a church. And I've also cited a case of an Islamic scholar in Katsina that won an award, and after visiting the governor Morada of the state, on his way home, he was massacred. Would you say that is a Christian being massacred by bandits? No, that's not the situation. Yes, we have some security issues, and the government of the day is dealing with it. And I can tell you from records that Mr. President Donald Trump, in recent times, had written to a lot of were with Chinese, yes, and Chinese and USA, they're currently having some tariff-related issues. They're finding in the midst of this, because Nigeria is just looking for an issue to hold on to have their way in their midterm elections. Now, that's my position, and I'm very confident that the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will deal with these issues appropriately.
My question, Honorable, was, should this threat be taken lightly, or should Nigeria take it seriously?
It's against, global practice for one country to threaten sovereignty of another country. It's outside the protocols, understandings, agreements, United Nations that's put in place. So I can tell you that the government will deal with this issue.
Let me get your reaction to this last, to this paragraph in President Trump's post, where he said that if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, as he put it, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists, who are committing these horrible atrocities. What do you make of this comment?
That narrative is false. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The banditries, the terrorists you have in Nigeria, has no religious color.
Yeah, I was asking. I read this paragraph because of the ending part of it that said that they will come into Nigeria, guns a-blazing, to wipe out Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. So it doesn't almost suggest that the Trump administration is blaming the Tinubu administration of committing these atrocities, but says that the government is not competent or handling it well enough and would want to come in to address it.
Terry, I think the U.S. government should support Nigeria in terms of military equipment, software, hardware, to wage war against terrorism in Nigeria. And so the issue of religion shouldn't give this exercise any faith coloration. That's my position. The American government should support Nigeria like they have done in the past in terms of capacity building, equipments, ammunitions to wage war against terrorism without adding faith coloration to it. That is my position.
But doesn't it almost suggest that the U.S. is tired of giving all that support without tangible results? Because this is not the first time we're hearing about the U.S. complaining about aid to Nigeria that's not been utilized properly. And we also know that the security assistance the U.S. has given Nigeria over time, if you take specifically in recent times, the Tucano aircraft, that was a government-to-government transaction that came with support, maintenance support and training and all that. Don't you think at some point that the U.S. is probably tired that it's given so much support to Nigeria without perhaps Nigeria fulfilling its own end of the bargain to see that that support yields?
There is more to this. There is more to this. There are, like I observed earlier, there are underlying issues. Probably America is trying to whip Nigeria to line or certain diplomatic interest, or certain economic interest. Recent Nigeria has taken to be a friend partner of BRICS. There are issues that American government is not comfortable with. And I've also told you that the mid-term election is on its way. Could it be to also gain popularity and get more support and get electoral confidence in the United States? There are lots of issues that you need to take all together on board.
Right.
I support American commitment to support us to wage war against terrorism, but without adding that narration is untrue. And I've had engagement with American mission in Nigeria. We're on the same page that there is nowhere in this country where Muslims or Christians are being massacred. The truth is this: yes, you have banditry attacks in the Sokoto state, in Zamfara state, in some parts of Borno state, even in North Central state. So, and it's not about religion.
Honorable, I want to get an update from you as chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. It's about a month now since that resolution was reached when this matter came up for the committee to swing into action to dispel some of the information or to counter some of the information available to the U.S. for them to decide to enlist Nigeria or to list Nigeria in as a CPC, country of particular concern. What's the update with the marching order, if I may put it like that?
We are working with Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs in dealing with this issue. Ordinarily, the minister was supposed to come to the House to brief the Parliament, to give us an update on Thursday, but I'm aware that he has another assignment outside the country. Probably will take him up. I'm very sure by the time he gets back next week, we shall be meeting in the House to have an update on all these issues.
So is this now, it almost seems like a government-to-government interaction has been created. We understand that the president wants to meet with the U.S. president or the vice president of the United States. And I know at the time, the Minister of Foreign Affairs had taken this matter up and asked the House to hold on while it continues the negotiations or interactions that had already started. So at what level is this interaction now? Is the House or the National Assembly pulling back and allowing the federal government, the president, to handle the matter, or what?
You see, legislatively, we all have our job description. Yes, the executive arm are doing their bits. Yes, oversight the executive arm for us to carry a bit and allow the executive to come back to us to give us an update how far they've gone. And then if there is need for us, then we'll do the needful.
But if I recall correctly, I think a démarche was supposed to have been issued.
Yeah, we've conveyed the resolution of the House to the appropriate quarters to do the needful. And I can tell you, Terry, it's not every security issues you bring it to market square. And I can tell you that the executive arm are doing their bits, So, and we interface We read it regularly, unofficially, other channels to have an update about this issue. So, and I'm very happy that the executive, are doing the needful.
But I think, Honorable, as much as I understand where you're coming from, I think that what we see now is a certain level of unrest or unsettlement across the country, because when you hear that the U.S. is threatening to invade your country, you don't take that lightly, or you don't ignore that kind of threat. So when you say that you don't want to speak on certain issues that may be security related, the U.S. government is speaking on religious issues here. And we know that religion is a very sensitive topic as far as Nigeria is concerned. Isn't it the right time for Nigeria to speak with facts? Here's why I say that. What information do you know that is available to the U.S. government for them to reach this conclusion? And what information do we have, or based on investigation since this matter came up in Parliament, what information have been gathered and presented to the U.S. government to say that these facts, what you have, are not facts? These are the facts to show that there's no genocide, Christian genocide ongoing. And you need, I believe, to let the public know this information as well. Don't you think so?
You have a parliament that is proactive. When Senator Ted Cruz, brought up his bill for second reading in the Senate in the U.S., and of course the House Committee, Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on this issue in the U.S. Congress also came with this issue. The Parliament responded promptly, leading to the resolution that you're talking about. And the process is that the clerk of the National Assembly, conveys our position to the executive government for further executive actions. That has been done. That has been done on our part. And as a committee, what we are doing is that, relating with the Foreign Affairs Ministry to have an update from them, which form the basis of further legislative actions. So we oversight the executive. What we ask the executive to do, have they done it? Yes, they have done it. If they have not done it, then it comes back to us.
What did Parliament ask the executive to do in resolving this matter when that resolution was reached about a month ago?
Terry, I did say earlier that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, was to meet us on Thursday this week to give us an update. But this morning we spoke, and he told me that he has another assignment somewhere, and that I should give him up to next week, Tuesday probably, to meet with the committee to give us a very comprehensive brief. We need to get appropriate briefing from the Foreign Affairs Ministry. We need to talk, speak, react from an informed position. We need to speak to Nigerians from an informed position, from a position of facts. So, and until we get that briefing, I can't be, whatever I'm saying now, purely my own personal opinion, Mr. Terry.
I understand that you're making your personal opinion, but I also know that Nigeria was on this list in 2020, taken off the list in 2021. No list was released between 2021 and 2024, and then we're back there. And the testimony available to the U.S., if I recall correctly, was that the testimony of Mr. Frank Wolf, who was the U.S. Commissioner on International Religious Freedom. He met this testimony before the House of Representatives Committee in March when this issue first came up before the House. He said that majority of commissioners have traveled to Nigeria either in their personal or official capacities. And in July 2022, a delegation visited Nigeria, met with U.S. officials, Nigerian government officials, civil society organizations, religious communities, and development partners. And from that conclusion, according to him, the government of Nigeria is perpetrating and tolerating systemic, ongoing, and egregious violations of freedom or religion of belief. Now, this could be his own testimony. But from that 2022 or 2021 when we were taken off that list till now, what sort of engagements have gone in to ensure that Nigeria doesn't get back on that list?
Terry, The American political desk led this committee officials to my office. And the consensus had in them, the agreement that they also came to, is to the fact that there is no religious genocide in Nigeria. And we cited several facts, which they also agree with. And I'm very sure that must have been the basis why President Donald Trump commended our president for waging war against terrorism in Nigeria. So where this narrative is coming from now, I can tell you, is for other political motives, political, economical, diplomatic motives.
Honorable, why we?
Because you and I, Terry, you're also a Christian, and I guess probably from somewhere south, or you have friends in North Central and North. Do we have war? Do you have such genocide in Nigeria?
So the thing is, nobody
Because you also
would
stand
want...
in a vantage position. So part of advocacy you are doing is disengagement. You also stand in a vantage position to also educate Nigerians, the entire world itself. This program is being watched all over the world.
Absolutely.
To state the facts of the matter. That is
So
that there's no religious
very
genocide
valid point you've
in
raised.
Nigeria.
However, in Nigeria, the problem is data. Data is a very major problem. And I recall that when this resolution was reached in the House, the Deputy Speaker who presided at the time had said, gather all the data, facts to disprove whatever the Americans are trying to push. So the access to data is very important. Nobody wants Nigeria to be invaded. Nobody wants Nigeria to be invaded because history suggests that if America gets into a place, it destabilizes the country and leaves the country in ruins. Nobody wants that. But I want to ask you a question because I believe you've seen videos and statements from Christian leaders in the core north. The Christian Association of Nigeria, about a month ago when this matter became public, had released a statement saying that we should not politicize it, that there are Christians being killed. They didn't say outrightly there was a Christian genocide, but it said that people were being killed. The government has also said that Muslims are being killed as well. But when you put all these together, Honorable, do you stand at the point where we can confidently say that we have information, data, to counter everything that the U.S. is alleging?
Terry, we have all the data, both media, in video. You know, I've read about leaders like Reverend Father Puka, the Islamic, Christian Association of Nigeria, Islamic religious body countering this position that the terrorism activities in Nigeria has no religious coloration.
I would want for you to educate members of the public on Parliament's responsibility when it comes to addressing insecurity, because I'm sure you've followed conversations where some members of the public believe that the Parliament isn't doing enough to address the issue of insecurity or checking the president enough to ensure that insecurity is addressed.
The federal government has various executive bodies that are saddled with this responsibility of talking to Nigerians from informed position. And under the leadership of the Minister for Information, and I've watched him on the televisions, I've read about him in the newspapers, doing exactly that, you know. So on this note, I want to say that it is the job of the executive to speak to Nigerians about that. The legislature, absolutely, yes, we make laws, we oversight, we represent, you know. So, and the House has an official spokesperson who also who address Nigerians on the position of National Assembly, on the position of the House of Representatives on issues. What I've told you today are purely my personal opinion.
Okay, Honorable, I appreciate, I understand where you're coming from, but let me get your quick thoughts on how you think that this matter can be resolved, because it almost seems like the information that we've just got suggests that the president may not be going to the U.S. So what do you think is the next line of action for Nigeria? Now, the message from the U.S. president says that if Nigeria doesn't act promptly, they would come in. What do you expect?
Mr. Terry, the worst was, hence, on the RAND conference table where people shake hands at the end of the day. So, but I don't think this will get to that. And I told you earlier that this is just a next in the cope. I can tell you that very soon all these issues will disappear because the American government is looking for something, and they will meet at midpoint. But more importantly, my parting words this morning is that American government should support Nigeria to wage war against terrorism without religious coloration.
All right, Honorable, I'd like to thank you very much for your time. And we'll follow up to see how Parliament responds subsequently. Thank you very much.